All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and Bullshit. Today we have Marissa from Pick Your Paw Rescue. Welcome.
Hi, guys.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Before I have you start talking about everything you do, I just have to say I am beyond excited to have you on because if you don't know me and people that do know me, I am like big heart. Like this is all that I am. Jen knows like I am all about rescuing. We are big animal lovers, especially on the pups. So I'm not even going to keep on talking, but I just want you to tell me about you, about your rescue. Just tell us about you. Go.
Absolutely. So, I've been an animal lover my entire life. I've grown up with dogs since I was 6 years old. I started working with Pick Your Paw Animal Rescue in about February or March of 2019. Can't even think. Just for the past year, I've been working with them. Started out volunteering in their adoption center that they have, slowly started fostering for them, and now have become a bigger part where I'm a huge volunteer as well as the advocacy director. So I go over foster applications that we get in, adoption applications, deal with the phone lines right now with everything going on. So messages are being forwarded to my cell phone. So I'm basically on the front line right now with taking over those phone call messages and dealing with everybody on a day-to-day basis.
Awesome. So can you tell us like a little bit about your rescue? Because I know there's like rescue, foster, like what's the difference? So people are a little bit clear on yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So the rescue is run by the two rescue partners, Heather and Tammy. They started rescuing back in 2008, but they actually created the Pick Your Paw Animal Rescue back in 2011. So the rescue itself has been around for a little over 9 years at this point. And we are a foster-based rescue. So what that means basically is we don't have a central facility where the dogs sleep overnight. All of the dogs are in homes 24/7. So as soon as we rescue a dog, they go straight into a foster home and they're there until the time that they get adopted. So it's really nice that the dogs get like the loving home 24/7, even prior to finding that forever home. And of course you have those fosters that we like to call foster fails because they end up adopting the dog, but they always end up finding their home. About 2 years ago, at the end of this year, it will be, they started opening a place inside a Freehold Raceway Mall called Pick Your Paw Animal Rescue. It's our adoption center. So what it is we open up and we are there daily. We have different mall hours. We usually close around 6 p.m. and we open around 11 or 12 a.m. And the dogs are there for people to view them during the day, but they don't sleep there overnight. So like their foster will drop them off in the morning so they have the day to hang out, kind of get that FaceTime with people that are coming in and out of our store. And then they pick them up by the end of the night so they're ready to go home for dinner and go to sleep for the night. And then they don't come every day. Most fosters will bring them on the weekends since the weekends are definitely busier than others. But that's kind of our central location. Our dogs don't really stay overnight there unless there's an absolute emergency, which is very rarely. So they are primarily in foster cares. So the difference between us and a shelter is that a shelter is a place where the dogs are kept in kennels overnight. There is only one facility. And the biggest difference is that they are run and licensed through the town. So when you find a stray dog or an owner surrender comes in, if it's in the town of that shelter, the shelter has to take the dog. They don't have the choice. Whereas for us, we take in owner surrenders, but we have options on if we can take the dog or not. Since we don't have that central location, if we don't have a foster available, we can't take in the dog. So we can only take in as many dogs as many fosters as we have.
So the fosters work for you, right? Like you have the foster and they technically work for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all volunteer. They fill out a foster application. They're willing to do it. We provide all the basic necessities for the dog. So we provide the crate if they want one, the food, we provide toys, we'll provide bowls if they need. And of course, we take care of all the vet bills when they're fostered and under our care. All they provide really is the love in the home for the animal.
Can I ask you because my husband, he used to foster like all golden retrievers. He used to work for a foster golden retriever. And he used to, when you said the foster fail, I like, that's how we end up with our 3 Goldens. He was a definite foster fail. He took them all. So what is the requirements if you had to foster a dog? Like, do you need a fenced in yard? Do you like, is there certain things if you want to become a foster parent, like what, or foster, you know?
There's not much. If you have a clean and spacious home that you're ready to take care of a dog, there isn't. Of course, we do like our normal checks. We don't just throw a dog out to anybody, and it's usually never a same day thing unless there's like an absolute emergency where we have the dog. But typically those dogs go to people that we know right away before we move them into a foster home so we could do our checks. But we don't require a fenced-in yard. Of course, it's better if there is one, but all of our dogs learn to walk on a leash by wearing a harness and all that, and we provide that for them as well. So they're given the harness, leash, all the major tools that they need, treats that they can do, things like that. So we do a home check, which is now a little bit different with everything going on, but we do reference checks and all of that. So it takes a little bit for us to process an application, but there aren't many requirements to become one.
Wow. So I have a question, actually, since obviously we all know what's going on in the world with this pandemic. How has what's going on with the COVID, how has it affected you at all? And if so, how has it affected?
So if I had to say there was one positive thing about COVID-19, it's about dog adoptions going up. Being that everybody is home, now is the perfect time for them to get that puppy dog, to be able to train at home, things like that. Of course, we look into what their hours would be like once life flips right side up. Of course, because we don't want a puppy to be home alone for somebody who works a 10-hour shift. It's just too long for a puppy. So we always make sure to check that as well. But it definitely has raised our increased rate of adoptions within like a certain time frame. We almost have no dogs left at this point. We do have some though, and we're looking to take in more as well. So it's definitely been positive in that sense. I mean, it's changed our routine a little bit on how we go about doing things, but it has definitely been positive. I mean, even in the sense of people who maybe they don't want to adopt, but they just want to foster. I mean, we had an abundance of emails and people reaching out that they were willing to foster. And a lot of them were temporary fosters. Like they had explained to us, I can only foster during the quarantine because their job may be too hectic when it comes back to life. And we say to those people, we appreciate it so much. Because we're not a shelter and after the quarantine, we're so foster based, sometimes we have to say we can't do temporary, only because then if they go back to work, we don't have a spot to put the dog. So there are things like that, but overall, it's been a huge positive thing for our rescue.
Wow. I would assume though, because so many people right now are, I want a dog. I'm like, okay, it's a good idea to get a dog. However, when this is over, is it still a good idea for you guys to get a dog? Because it's not a toy. See, so
Exactly.
I never had dogs. I grew up in a house. I had birds. Birds and fish were my pets. Because, both my parents were workers. It was just hard, and my mother, she was always afraid of dogs. So that, kind of trickles up. So I have my own family now. I actually have a pit bull and I have a Shih Tzu, totally different.
But they worked well together.
Yeah. So it's just funny because for me, I just feel like I was petrified. Like pit bulls, if I knew there was a pit bull on the block, I wouldn't even want to be around. And it's so funny because I feel they get such a bad rep, especially having my dog. He's a human. He is a human being.
Okay.
He thinks he's my boyfriend. He lays on me. It's hilarious. So just because you are around so many different breeds of dog, what do you think as far as why do you think pit bulls get a bad rep?
People's got a bad rep mostly because of the humans that are making it that way. I mean, like a lot of things that we do are human error. Like my foster that I have right now, when he has an accident in the house, I blame it on myself because, he told me he needed to go, but I was too late to get to him. And he's a baby. He doesn't know like, oh, I need to wait 5 minutes for mom to come over here. I mean, it's human error. I know that. I can accept that. And we move on and we try again the next day. But pit bulls definitely do get a bad rep, but then the people who have them and they love them, pit bulls are those type of dogs that are 50 pounds and they think they're 5 pounds and can sit in your lap all day long. The foster that I have right now is a pit bull. He's over here and he's like snuggled up behind me. And that's all he does. All he does all day is snuggle around.
He's gorgeous. Look at his eyes.
He is such a good boy. And our rescue, like, we're huge advocates for pit bulls. I mean, believe me, we get other breeds in our rescue, especially because we get owner surrenders. We've had 2 German Shepherds within the past 2 months. We've had 3 Goldens in like 3 months. But like, we are huge advocates for pit bulls, and we love to pull them. They really are so sweet. And, you know, depending on where they come from, after being in foster home and getting used to our routine and the foster's routine, like, it's amazing to see the transformation that they make within like the month, 2 months, whatever it is. Even just a couple of weeks is all it takes to see like how amazing they truly are. And they are just babies. They want to be snuggled. They want to be played with, everything.
I always tell people, like, I have 2 kids, potty training them was the worst. You know, you had to go every, remember, Jen, like every 15 minutes on the potty. It's the same thing for dogs, you know, like
Absolutely.
potty training is the worst, but it's the same thing. My dogs are my kids. They just have fur, you know, like it's the same thing. So if you're not willing to potty train a dog, you don't get a dog. But
and you do that positive reinforcement, like the constant treats, like they go to the bathroom outside. I mean, I don't have kids, but I know like my niece was trained on the potty by getting M&Ms.
M&Ms. Keys for my dogs and M&Ms for my kids. I mean,
exactly. So, you know, you have that treat with you all the time, and they learn. They're so fast to pick it up. I mean, Walter,
my dogs learn faster than my kids.
Yeah. Well, like Walter, the dog that I have right now, he has a neurological brain disorder, and he learns like faster than I thought he was going to be capable of, just because of his own processing things. It's incredible. People don't give dogs enough credit for what they're really due for.
Can I ask a question? Where do you get your dogs from? Like, I wanted to kind of.
Yeah, so a bunch of different places. There's not just one. One is owner surrenders. So people can call us if they need to get rid of a dog for whatever reason. Sometimes they're moving and the place that they're moving to doesn't allow dogs. Some, a family member has passed away and nobody can take care of it. Some, they get into an altercation with another dog, anything. I mean, it could be any reason that we get an owner surrender. So that's a big thing. We do try to pull from like local animal shelters to try and give them a better chance. If like animal shelters get like really full, they'll reach out to us sometimes, or we'll reach out to them to see if we could help to alleviate some of that from them. As well as we do have connects with a shelter down in North Carolina and a shelter in Mississippi that we pull from every once in a while. And then lately, our biggest one has been the Humane Society out in St. Thomas, the island. They have a ton of dogs that are in their shelter as well as foster homes, but they don't have enough adopters down there. So they like to send the dogs up to us. And lately we've had like a huge influx of dogs from there prior to COVID happening. But hopefully within the next 2 weeks or so, we'll be able to get some more dogs from there as well.
Okay, and really quick on the fostering. So if somebody does foster the dog and they fall in love with it and everything adds up, they are allowed to adopt the dog?
Absolutely. They go about it the same way. There's no difference between like somebody who's going to foster and then adopt versus somebody who's just filling out a straight application. They are required to do all the same exact things. They don't have an easy way around of it. But they do kind of have like that choice, but there's a very fine line of when they have that choice, because if somebody does apply for that dog, we don't want to lose out on a possible applicant for somebody who's unsure. But we do make all of our fosters aware of that prior to even taking the dog home. So there's no secrets or anything. We're very open with our fosters. We become very close with them. I don't think we've ever had a foster who just fostered one time and was done, unless they foster failed and then their house was at maximum capacity. But they always come back. I mean, I'm on, I think, foster number 14 at this point, and it's only been a little over a year of fostering. So it's an amazing thing. I mean, if I had a bigger home, I'd have all of them by now. I wouldn't have said no to any of them.
I think it's amazing what you're doing. It really is.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, Marissa, why is it better to rescue versus buying from a breeder or a puppy mill?
So the biggest thing about rescue or shelters or anything like that is that we care so much more about the dogs in the sense of health concerns. So breeders, puppy mills, they're about the money. They're about making a puppy and selling it. And they get money for it, and the dog is no longer in their care. and they're not concerned about anything. Whereas us, when a dog comes to our care, they do not get adopted before they're seen by a vet. We take all care of all like pre-existing conditions basically. And of course, if there's something that can't like be resolved right then, they can still get adopted, but we at least know what to make the adopter aware of. So they know what they need to continue or what their life may be like, things like that. You know, you have your backyard breeders, you have your puppy mills, you have all that a ton of people do come from, and those dogs also tend to have more medical concerns because not for nothing, it's a brother and sister that are mating together, and it does create a lot of medical concerns. Whereas, you know, our dogs, a lot of them are, people come in and say, what breed is that? And I'm going to say, I have no idea, because they are just mixed with a million different things. You know, rescues who are good and honorable rescues, they'll also always help in the future. So for example, if somebody gets a dog from us and in 5 months, 2 years, 10 years, whatever it is, if there's an issue that they can no longer keep the dog comes back to us 100%. It's in our contracts. So this way we know where the dog is at all times. And then God forbid, like, it's kind of like we won't ask questions. We will take the dog back no matter what. Versus you get a dog at a puppy mill or a breeder or anything like that, they don't care. They're not going to take the dog. So they're going to say, figure it out, whether they sell it to somebody else. And that's the thing, when they sell it, they don't check who they're selling to. They just sell it. So you don't know who you're selling to. Are you selling to somebody who's going to continue breeding, which is not healthy for the mom after a certain amount of times, or in general, especially if they're not taken care of the correct way while they're pregnant. And for us, you know, we do background checks, we do reference checks, we do vet checks. If you had a previous animal or have one currently, we come to the home, we check the home, which is a little different now, which I'll explain later. But you know, we create families when we're adopting to our people. So we keep in touch with them. You know, 10 years down the line, we want to see pictures, things like that. I mean, we have people come back to us after adopting 4 dogs and they're ready for the 5th one, or one had passed and they're ready to add a new one. I mean, we strive to make the best match. And I don't think anybody else other than rescues really cares about that.
I have to get a little personal with you, because my golden retriever, we found Buddy on the street with a sign around his neck saying, help me. Because he's a purebred golden retriever. So my husband's friend is the one that found him, and they brought him to like a rescue. So they scanned him for a chip. That's how we found the owner. And it was from Queens. So when we found the owner, my husband, you know, they went to the apartment, they had the address with the chip. And the owner's like, he was 6-7 months old. And the owner's like, oh, thanks, but do you want him? So we knew the owner was the one that threw him out. And he's like, I just didn't realize how big he was going to get. My husband was like, he's a golden retriever. It's not a Chihuahua. But I love how you said, the point of my story is that the fact that you bring, like, let's just say something happens and someone can't keep their dog, that you take them back, you know, and we'll rehome them. Because there are people that, I mean, that's evil and horrific that people could throw a dog on the street, is that you do that. And that is such an amazing thing right there, that you guys are angels for that. So
yes.
I have learned so much since working with the rescue that, you know, things that like simple things like my personal dogs that I've had previously, I never took them to a dog trainer. Like, we did it on our own. I never had pet insurance for any of my animals. And now, after being in rescue world and seeing everything and hearing horrific stories, I would never not go to a trainer with my dog. And, you know, we're also very specific on what trainers you can go to, because there are people that call themselves trainers that don't train the way that we agree with. And, you know, I would never not get pet insurance, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's, like you had said before, they become your family. Like, that's your child. It's no longer a dog. And something happens to them, God forbid, it can cost you $20,000 if you don't have insurance, no matter what it is. I mean, it's just, you see things from such a different light when you start adopting and working with a rescue and things like that.
Yeah. Jen, sorry.
Sorry, no, for some reason, my connection's not that good. It's
I
like,
know, we're a little foggy, sorry.
it's echoing. I'm sorry. I mean, I have like so many questions, but every time I'm about to ask something, she winds up saying stuff that I was about to ask. So I'm like, I actually went to New Orleans this past fall, and I was able to go to the Pipples and Pearl, with that TV show.
Yes.
And one thing that I'll never forget, and to this day, I always look at my pit very lovingly because of it. Again, I was raised with fish. Goldfish were my pets. So the fact that, I have a pit, I really grown to love Pipples. I mean, I love dogs. I love dogs, but I love my pit. And it sounds mean, but I favor him. It's just, So there was
There's always a favorite.
It totally does.
I know. There was a wall at this place that were all different chains. I mean, wires. I mean, and these were all dogs that were left in the South Sun, on wires. Just people mistreating them, and they basically, doing the same that you're doing. But I love that one that you're local and you're just making such an impact, saving like what you're doing. It's just something that to this day I'll never forget when I had went there, because a lot of dogs are abused and people don't realize it. People just, you know what I mean? It's, if you don't have the knowledge, you don't know. And that's why I think this is important for people to know what you do, because it's just great, and you're impacting people's lives, families' lives, and most importantly, these poor dogs that got, maybe they weren't have put in the best of homes. And now with your love and guidance, I think it's just amazing. So just thank you, because, they're living things. People think that they're not a human, but they're more human than half the people I know.
100%. 100%. And just like to touch on what you had said, saying that like we're more local. So yes, we're local. Like we're based out of Freehold, New Jersey, but our dogs are foster based. So obviously they're not all in Freehold, but you could say they're all scattered within central New Jersey. But puppies, we like to adopt out more locally just because of the upkeep that we keep up with them in the beginning, like until they're neutered or spayed, puppy training classes that they are required to attend in order to adopt. So puppies, we require them to be more locally, but some of our older dogs, like will drive out to New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania to adopt them, because older dogs have a harder time of finding a home, which is like a huge thing that we struggle with also, because we want to be able to give them a home. The puppies go so fast. I mean, you post them and their pending application is 24 hours later. It's all it takes. Mm-hmm. But we have older dogs that are in foster homes for a year, 2 years, 3 years, because people are like, oh, well, the dog is 7 years old. But that dog is so sweet, dog friendly, people friendly, kid friendly, house trained, like everything. Not, you don't have to do anything. There's no training required, and people just automatically knock them off the bat. But I mean, we're willing for like an older dog. Like if you have a perfect home and you're willing to open it up, like you don't have to be right around the corner. Like we're willing to drive.
That's good to know too. That's great. Mm-hmm.
And I want to touch base on this because I truly believe in this, and I've talked to Jen about this, and I mention this all the time. I mean, I'm very open about anxiety and that kind of stuff, and I truly believe, I always say dogs are therapy with four paws and fur, and I believe that, like, it is good for, I mean, like, I'm trying to put this in words, that a dog is actually good for people to have in their lives. I mean, it's helped with my children, it's helped with, so I was going to say in your words, like, how can you go in on that with dogs?
I mean, it definitely is. Even people that just foster, like they say, like, because some people like to foster and they'll like continue to foster for us, but like they'll take like once their dog gets adopted. I'm sorry, what was that?
Right, especially with COVID, because like you're saying, going back to normal, you don't want to give somebody, like you don't want to buy like a dog on Christmas and be like, okay, and then or after COVID, this is great, we're all home, and then we go back to work. So that's why I love the whole fostering thing as well.
So yeah, the fostering thing is definitely good. And, it definitely, like, people foster and they just feel so much better. And then like the dog will get adopted and they'll be like, all right, we'll foster again, but we want like kind of like a week or 2 weeks period to just like, even if you're not falling in love and keeping the dog, you're falling in love. And it's hard for the fosters. I mean, when I go and do my dog adoptions, I'm crying when they're my fosters, and I apologize to the people. I'm like, it's a really good dog. Like, you're going to be so happy, but like, I just can't keep him anymore or something. Like, you know, it's an amazing feeling. You know, it helps out with a lot. Like, they might be a lot of work. Like right now, if you can hear him growling, he's fighting with my sweatshirt. Like, they're a pain, but they're good. They are fun to be around. He's going to like take my jacket off, and I'm just going to let it happen because otherwise he won't stop. But, you know, like, there are times where I say, I'm like, oh, Wally, stop, like, whatever it is. But at the end of the night, they make life so much better. Like, it just, you don't need anything else. I could sit with him all day and do nothing else. And, like, that's half my problem. I always say whoever adopts him is screwed because he will have separation anxiety because he's with me 24/7. But no, it really does help, especially for younger kids. Like, they learn how, it's like the same thing, like, a child like getting like a baby sister or a baby brother. Like, you just learn so many different things, like when you're like required to learn how to like take care of another, I mean, he's not a human being, but basically another human being. Well, no, it's an amazing thing.
Yes, we always on Beauty and Bullshit do some kind of game. So if you have any, I thought, you know, it's dogs. So it's Wally, right? Am I saying it right? Okay.
His name is Walter, but I call him Wally, so that's how he knows his name. Yes.
I mean, he obviously did a cool game by taking off your sweatshirt. That was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. But if he does any other tricks, I thought that could be kind of cool to show us.
Absolutely. Let's see if he'll cooperate for them. Right now, he's a little crazy. So what I was saying before, now he's going to sit because I have treats in my hands. What I was saying before, he has like a neurological brain disorder. So he has something called cerebellar hypoplasia. And it's basically just meaning that like his brain is a little underdeveloped. So he's a really good boy, but like his muscles don't move the same way. So like, it takes him a little bit longer to do a sit. Sometimes he'll like jump up because he's like so excited he can't contain it. But we'll see what we're working with for today.
So cute.
Now he's like sitting because he's just sitting there. But
he's already ready. He's like, oh, I heard what.
Come here. Can you sit, please? You do touch? Thank you. So touch is like a big thing that we do in like rescue. I mean, as along with like getting treats and having them like sit and do it. But I use touch as a recall. So like if I have him outside and I need him to come inside, if I scream his name and scream touch, like he'll come running. Sometimes I need to say it twice, but he's pretty good about it. Sometimes he'll stay, but now he's just too excited about these treats.
And how old is he again? Because he looks so little.
You sit? He's about 30 pounds.
So cute.
Good boy.
Look at the paws, Jen.
They're big paws. Can you come over here?
Sit. I would love to see him next to Jax because their coat is the same.
But Jax is big.
Jax is small to the ground, but he's just muscular.
Oh my God.
How cute. I love it.
Yeah.
So it takes him a little bit longer to learn things more so than other dogs. I don't know whether we blame it on the neurological disorder or just that he's a puppy.
I give him a 10. He did perfect.
He's definitely food motivated, and it's definitely his lunchtime, which is probably why he's
I'm food motivated.
We are all food motivated.
My kind of dog. Is there anything else that you wanted to address, either COVID or what you guys do? Is there any kind of like donations that you guys need that you could tell people, like anything that?
Yeah, I mean, donations for us are a huge thing. So the rescue is 100% donation driven and 100% volunteer. So right now, the only volunteer aspect that we're getting, obviously, are our fosters. Typically, when our adoption center is open, volunteers can sign up in like 2.5-hour shifts. And they come in, and it's really like playing with the dog. But, you know, like if I'm up front, if I open the store and I man it, or Heather is there, or Tammy is there, then we need people in the back to be able to help with the puppies, whether it's like cleaning up their mess, or if they're older, like taking them outside for a walk, things like that. So obviously right now that's not going on since the adoption center isn't open. But so we're relying heavily on donations. So we take donations obviously every day within our store, things like that. And, even now people will reach out to us saying like, hey, I have a unopened bag of dog food. Like, do you want it? Like, I just did 2 pickups the other day. One was for dog beds and toys, and then the other one was for dog food. Because we go through it like there's no tomorrow. When we send our fosters home, we send each foster home with a bag of dog food. So if I'm putting out 6 dogs in a foster, that's 6 bags of dog food that are going with them, 6 crates, 6 set of toys, 6 dog beds, blankets, whatever it is. So people donate crates, like we'll take old crates, small, medium, large, whatever size. And with everything now, if they're local, I'll do curb pickup. Like I've done Freehold, I've done Marlboro. I would be willing to drive like up to an hour to get it because the stuff is really worth like a lot to us. We typically every year have a big comedy event that happens in October where we do, it's a comedy show and there's dinner and there's like a bar and things like that. And we do like a lot of gift baskets that we get huge donations from like companies like Disney donates 5 tickets, 5-day passes to us. We get like a lot of different things. And that's typically our biggest way that we raise funds. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we need to cancel it this year because we're nervous that even if by October things start to open up, that people aren't going to want to be with 250 plus people come that time. So we are postponing it. We won't cancel. Redo it at some point. But last year we do a mega 50-50 with it every year. Last year we raised over $16,000 in the mega 50-50.
Wow.
And this year we won't get that now. So that's like a huge loss to us because that money is something that we don't have right now. Our medical bills are over $20,000 that the rescue pays for through donations and things like that. So when we're at the center, like it's a lot of, hey, we need Lysol wipes. We need, all the things that we need that is not available now because of COVID. But, at this point, it's hard to ask people for money because we understand people are struggling also with everything that's going on. But I personally created this page on Facebook, which I could share to you guys so people could see it. It's called Puppy Play. And it's raffles that support Pick Your Paw 100%. So they're like raffles and we have like our usual supporters and we have over, I think we actually just hit about 400 members in it the other day. And in 7 or 8 raffles, I think we've raised over $800. Now, like $800 is an amazing amount, but in comparison to our medical bills, it's only a fraction of the cost. But so we definitely do need donations, but we're not, sometimes like we'll reach out to our previous donators and right now we definitely aren't just because of everything going on in the world. But, we have our people who are true to us that always donate and continue to reach out to us when they have an extra bag of dog food or a crate, anything like that. That stuff is big because like I had said, we need to provide for the fosters. So we need to be able to have enough that can go out to multiple fosters at once.
And also, if you can just let people know where they could find you, and if you can also give your email address, me and my family.
We have Facebook.
So I'm delayed, I think.
No, I think she's delayed. I'm sorry. I think it's your connection.
Me?
No.
Okay. Because my family and I definitely
everything's all messed up right now.
All right. Sorry. Jen, you go. Sorry.
Okay, sorry. So basically I said because my family and I would like to donate, whether it be food, and also I do own a salon and I have my own lash line. So if I could put together a beauty package for you to raffle off, if it can help at all, we definitely would love to help.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Yeah, and we could do a beauty and bullshit raffle together as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we take baskets. We plan on being able to do the basket raffles through the Facebook, kind of the way that I'm doing the raffle donations now. Only because we still have the donations and some of them expire. So we need to get them out there so people can be able to use them. But people can contact us on Instagram or Facebook. It's just Pick Your Paw Animal Rescue. And we're pretty easy to find. We're the first one that comes up. It's only us out there. And then we have our email, which is pickyourpaw@gmail.com, or our website, which is pickyourpaw.org. They can find us anywhere on there. Like I had said, all the phones are coming straight to my cell phone. So if somebody finds like our phone number, they can still call it. I will answer. Leave me a message if I don't, but I will call them back. So, I mean, there are a million different ways that people can reach out to us and contact.
And just one other question, as far as, let's say, dog food.
Certain brand?
Is there a certain brand? And if so, can we drop it off to you?
Yeah, I mean, you could always drop off. Like, I'd be more than happy to give an address, or like I said, I'd be more than happy to pick it up as well. We do use a lot of Purina Pro Plan. We use puppy and adult, as well as we do use Science Hill Diet, Merrick. We use Earthworm. Like, there's really, or not Earthworm, Earthborn, I'm sorry. There's really not one that we won't take per se. We kind of use it all. We will take canned food. Sometimes like the puppies get canned food along with their dry food. So like I said, there's really not something that we won't take. Even some people are like, I opened up this bag and my dog didn't like the food. Like, it's missing a little bit. Like, we'll still take it as long as like we know it's like a reputable like thing and there's not like stuff in the food, but we will mainly still take it.
And I know you said
some people.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, I have a list that I can send to you as well that like gives us, absolutely. Some people would rather just like donate like a gift card to Petco, PetSmart, Walmart, anything like that. Like, we would take that and we'd be more than happy to go shopping and do something like that. Or some people like will send like they can send like an online, because of everything now, like Chewy gift card or anything like that. I mean, we'd be more than happy to put the money towards it, things like that. I mean, when school was going on prior to this whole thing, we had a lot of schools, because we have a lot of young volunteers that come into the adoption center. So a lot of volunteers did things with like their soccer team or things at school where they could raise, and we used to get donations through that as well. But obviously, given today's circumstances, that's not happening either. So, I mean, that's like our biggest, you know, while COVID is affecting us in the positive way, in the sense of dogs finding a home, which is obviously our biggest reason why we do this. It's affecting us in the negative way, in the sense of donations that we're not receiving, because we can't do our own events, as well as people are struggling on their end, so they can't donate the way that they typically do.
Marissa, you have been amazing. We love Wally.
Thank you so much.
You is just, you're an angel. So, Jen, let's end it with that amazing quote.
Yeah, so we like to wrap it up with a quote. Usually we do something beauty, but I thought this was a perfect quote Lauren and I agreed on. It says, saving one dog will not change the world, but surely for that one dog, the world will change forever. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Honestly, there should be more people like you in this world. So thank you for being such a positive person and impacting so many people and dogs. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It means a lot to be able to like get out there and people like really hear our story. I mean, when people call and we explain, because people say, hey, are you guys still open? We want to come look at the dogs. And we're like, we're open. We're still processing applications, but we're foster based. And people are like, wow, that's amazing. Like, I wish just people knew like more about us. I mean, and we definitely need fosters that aren't just temporary, that are willing to foster beyond the quarantine, and also people that are willing to foster like an adult dog. A lot of people just want to foster puppies. And we love it. We want to get those puppies out there also. They're just as important to us. But if we, like I said, if we don't have the foster that's willing to like help that adult dog, then we can't help it, unfortunately, unless a place opens up.
So true. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Stay well, okay? Thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.